Triage is the brand new album from Methyl Ethyl, who'll join us here in San Francisco. Guys, welcome back to our fine city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats on the album release. This is a great piece of work that you created, and you guys are now touring with this. And it's been out for some time. How does it feel to be able to go out and perform this, translate this live?
It's really, really good fun. I think apart from the fun of it, actually, though, it's like a really, it's its own unique kind of step in this whole weird thing that is like playing in a band and making music, because the music exists as it does on the record, but once we kind of get together as a group and put the sort of live touches to it, the songs kind of start to have their own life. And then you add in a room of people who are there to engage with that music. It kind of has an extra level as well. So
we're engaging some of this fair city's finest of technologies, you know. Tech boom happens here too, you know.
Tom and Chris, you've been with Jake for longest out of everybody in the band. When Jake presents the material, how does that process of your fingerprints getting put on the material from start to what we hear recorded?
I don't know. I feel like most of the time Jake shows me anything new. It's like in the car driving somewhere or whatever, and then I don't know. I've given you a page of notes once in a while.
That I used.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, it doesn't really transform too much until we, like Jake said, all get in a room and kind of try and hash it out together.
This particular album was a snapshot of 1 year, 2018, basically, right? How much of it, or if any, was informed by kind of the socio-political climate? Because that seems to be a major theme in art right now.
Yeah, it definitely, I can see it being a theme for sure. I think it was, I exist in this world, you know. I choose to engage in it in whatever way, in our way. So to say that I wasn't, and that it wasn't influenced by it would be a lie. It absolutely was, and there are some things that I talk about on the record, which are kind of thinking about the world, but it's more of a it's written from a personal perspective. It's not like I definitely choose not to be to make a comment or say an exact have an exact statement on anything. It's more just kind of like thoughts and things like that, and sort of like, yeah, that it's just like coming from a place of experience rather than saying things
Directly
like,
and trying to be explicitly vocal about a particular stance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just pointed out that this was on the heels of your previous album, and so basically this trio of albums came out from your debut to now, pretty in succession, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And obviously noted that you wrote it in isolation. That's kind of been the theme and the pattern of your workflow. And you've been asked this before in terms of, okay, now moving forward with some new cohorts and things, how does that going to be, integrated, or will it be integrated? So do you think there'll be some time in which you'll let things breathe for a while and then see how these new moving parts will fit in?
I think as far as this band goes, this this is just the beginning, and it feels like just the beginning, and I think there's like sort of a great potential for the live band to sound and do really interesting things. As far as the recorded music side of things goes, I feel like in a way also that I'm ready to try some new things, and almost like these 3 records that I made, I kind of, for the first time, I could sort of stand back and think, okay, how am I going to do things like actually differently, or what have I sort of learned in like a more holistic way going forward, and yeah, but I'll start to do stuff pretty well straight away, and yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I found it interesting that you had listened to The Cure for a little bit.
For a lot, actually.
Okay.
Non-stop, but just for like one year is all I'd listened to, I think.
Yeah. And it is heard in some of the material, I think.
Okay.
And you mentioned that it was a guilty pleasure. I remember reading somewhere. And I found that interesting because The Cure is actually one of those, bands that early bands of, post-punk, goth, obviously, and so forth, right? In modern rock in the 80s, and Depeche Mode, right? They're lumped in together as kind of like the godfathers in music. So how does it become a guilty pleasure in your perspective?
Well, I just feel like they don't get name checked by all the cool people. Like they don't get sort of dropped into you don't really hear them talked about. I think from my experience, at least, people that I think maybe people are changing their minds about it, or perhaps I just sort of becoming awake to the fact that they are cooler than I thought. Maybe I don't know. What do you guys do?
I think they're pretty cool. Like once you kind of delve a little deeper and like rather than just, I don't think the big singles are that cool. To be honest.
But I also think maybe like you don't hear them name check because there's also a bit of an unspoken understanding that The Cure are pretty great. I don't know.
Yeah,
for sure.
So what was for everyone else in the band, what was it when you were sitting in the van or bus or whatever and he tells you these things, what was your reaction? Or did you have a reaction?
This is not over. Like he put it on 3 days ago.
Really?
As soon as we got to LA, he just first thing that went on in the car, just the whole album in its entirety.
You're listening. So you've been listening to The Cure nonstop now for.
We listened to quite a healthy dose of Lee Hazelwood today.
Yeah, it was a Lee Hazelwood day.
That's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on this album. Really looking forward to see what you guys have in store in terms of the new music and how this is all going to fit in, and the live show tonight as well. So,
great.
Appreciate your time.
No, thanks
so much,
a lot.
Thank you.
It's Methyl Ethyl. Triage is their brand new album. You're watching B-Sides on Air.